Hello gamers, how are we? Happy time zone. I hope you really enjoyed that last run of Super Mario Sunshine. I know for sure I did. Particularly enjoyed Leanne's American accent. I mean, who didn't? It was fantastic. Now, we have a very special run coming up next. So this run here is going to be Wind Waker HD, any percent restricted by the world record holder, Mr. Alberto23. Now, the most exciting thing here is that this run was an incentive, the whole run, and it was if we raised $1,000 before a certain time that we would get to see it. We not only managed to reach that goal, we smashed through it. We are currently at a fantastic total of, let me scroll up to see it, $3,374.33. You guys are amazing. This is all going towards the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. It's all for a fantastic cause. So not only did we meet this incentive, we met it 3 times over. I'm so proud of this community. It is absolutely fantastic. So without further ado, very special, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Alberto23 to run Wind Waker HD any percent with no MSS. Take it away, Mr. Alberto.
Hello everybody, my name is Mr. Alberto23, and it's very early in the morning for me. I just woke up, honestly. So today I'm going to be doing the Wind Waker HD 80% restricted. It used to be called no MSS, however there was a change. Basically the gist of this category is any percent, which is beat the game as fast as possible, but there are some restrictions. So there's not actually only 2 tricks. Basically the whole point of this category is to be more beginner friendly by banning the harder tricks of the run. So manual super swim, which is a trick at the beginning to escape the entire intro, that's banned. And also recently, by recently I mean within the last week, I think, the pop again and skip, which is a trick of the game, was also banned. So those tricks are banned, otherwise everything goes. It's any percent. And I have my commentator here. This is Joash. You guys, I think, should know Joash by now.
Hi, this is Joash, also Jonah. You know, long time no see. I also run this game.
Alright. Alright, so if we're ready, we can go ahead and begin. Alright. In 3, 2, 1, go. So I am playing in Italian. The Italian language is the fastest in this game because of the fact that the text scrolls are fastest. In the GameCube version, the fastest language was Japanese, and that would be true in this game, except for the fact that they nerfed Japanese on purpose to be a slower language. It's now the slowest, because in making the HD version, remember this is the HD remake of the GameCube version that came out in 2002. This game came out in 2013. So the remake sped up every single language by 4 times. So instead of being 1 character per frame displaying, they made every language 4 characters per frame, except for Japanese. So they nerfed Japanese on purpose because I guess they thought it was too fast. And so the second fastest language at the time, Italian, then became the fastest language. Now, in order to play on Italian, you need a European Wii U. My Wii U is not European, but I shortcuts to make it European. You do need also a European copy of the game because the game is region locked. So you also can't play it unless it's on a European Wii U. So it's really annoying, but for people who are in North America, they play on Spanish, usually. Unless they basically hack their Wii U to trick it into thinking it's European, and get a European copy of the game. That's what I had to do.
And even then, Spanish is only like a few seconds slower than Italian.
Yeah. I also don't speak Italian. Pazza.
Plaza.
Plaza.
Yeah, so for those that don't know what MSS is, MSS is the manual super swim, where if you've ever seen a run in this game before, you'll notice at the beginning of the run, the runner will pause the game and go back and forth on the water to gain speed. However, like Alberto said before, this category bans that trick. And we also banned pub again and skip later on in the run, but that's for later. But yeah, so a little bit of history on this on this category in particular. Like Alberto said, we made this initially as a beginner category and also just a category that doesn't do MSS. Since MSS is a pretty big barrier of entry for most runners. And then eventually it was voted to have an unrestricted and no MSS tab on each category. So it was actually a normal and no MSS variant on each category on the leaderboard that does MSS. And then, of course, for any percent in particular, since Puppet Gain and Skip is an even harder trick than MSS, we decided to ban that trick as well, and now it's 80% restricted on the 80% tab.
So I have to go through the intro because I'm not doing manual super swim. I have to do everything to the rules for the beginning of the game, which I could normally skip with manual swim. So we're going to be having to go all the way through Outset. We're going to have to beat Forsaken Fortress and then sail over to Dragon Roost Island. And so it's all going to be normal up until we get grappled, though there will be some tiny skips that you will see. But not major sequence breaks. I just rolled over to People's House. Rolling is the fastest form of movement in this game. Just repeatedly tap A to go faster. It's 26 units of speed for rolling versus 17 for regular walking. So it's quite a bit faster to roll places. And then save warping is useful to move around faster because we can get back to the beginning of the game by going back to title screen. The beginning of the game spawned us at this tower, so we didn't have to run all the way back. So that's why we saved and quit, because then we can get back to this lookout tower faster to watch this cutscene.
Yeah, and also one more note on MSS. MSS normally saves about 20 minutes in the run, so it makes a pretty big difference overall in how we do the run.
Yeah, all of this stuff that I'm doing now is skipped with manual swim. At the start, after side hopping off of the lookout tower, I would have just started pausing a bunch of times and then sped across the ocean to Dragon Roost. I would have already been there by now if I was not doing the manual. If I was doing manual super swim, and I would have skipped all of this that I'm doing right now. All these lovely cutscenes. Birds!
Oh, we do love bird cutscenes. Is this a good time for a quick donation?
Of course.
Lovely. So Nuns has donated $20 with a beautiful automated message saying, "Had to view during this run. Put my money towards the Germany. Let's kick donations butt." I love the automated ones. Thank you very much, Nuns.
Heading over to Orca, we're gonna get the sword. So we have to use it to fight people. Thank you, Orca. This is Orca, and he's gonna teach us the ways of the sword. And if we master the sword, we get to keep it. Thanks, Orca.
So here we begin with just some normal slashes, just pressing the B button. Also, you may notice there's a little trick we can do here. After on the third slash in Owl's combo here, he can actually hold backwards and then hold forward, and it actually makes the sword swing a little bit faster. And Orca doesn't actually count that against you since it's not technically what you're supposed to do. It makes this go a little bit faster. Outset in general, since it's pretty movement-based and there's a lot of simplicity to it, there's a lot of small little movement optimizations that Owl will do here just to save a little bit of time here and there. All about that movement optimization.
Yeah, I tried to do a 2-frame time save where I can parry in a 2-frame window to get a fast parry for the second one. Unfortunately, I believe I was 1 frame late. So I had to wait a few seconds, unfortunately. But that very first parry, when you press A, if you press in the first 2 frames that it comes up, then the second one comes up really fast. It also works, if you go too early, you'll jump slash by accident, and then the jump slash will hit him, and then somehow that'll also make the second parry faster. Playing in Pro Controller, so we're about to see a really cool trick coming up. Would you like to explain the trick coming up?
I will. So basically, okay, so a little premise. Since we're playing on the Wii U, you can choose to either play on the Wii U gamepad or on the Pro Controller. In this run, we actually play on both controllers. So what Alberto is preparing to do with the Pro Controllers is he's going to be preparing to do a trick here in a few minutes, where he's going to be able to open up the options menu through a loading zone. And basically, and that's only really possible in Pro Controller mode. So what he can do is he can hold down the options button on the touchscreen of the gamepad, because you can still use the gamepad touchscreen while using the Pro Controller mode. And if he opens the option menu in that mode while as he's going through a loading zone, then he can have the options menu open in the background and still be able to control do normal gameplay. What that actually allows you to do is when we go into a cutscene with pause storage active and the options menu open, then he can swap to gamepad mode in the options, and that allows him to go to the save menu and save and quit. And saving and quitting during a cutscene, more often than not, skips the cutscene, because as long as you start a cutscene, in some cases, then that counted as being watched for the first time. So we're actually going to be able to skip a lot of cutscenes with this one trick here.
Just completed Forest of Fairies. Things to have noticed on collecting rupees. So one of the things I actually did was interesting. I used the spin attack animation to collect a rupee from under a log. Normally you were supposed to crawl under the log, but you can also pick up rupees by hitting them with your sword. And so a spin attack is interesting because it goes through walls. So that spin attack allowed me to skip climbing under the log to get a red rupee. I'm trying to get rupees to buy the sail later. The sail costs 80 rupees, so it's quite a lot. So we want to get as many rupees as we can. And so that 20 rupee is a really good rupee to get there. And also, I collected rupees right after killing the bokoblins, just while waiting around, because after you kill them, you have to wait for them their death animation to finish. So you have time to try to collect rupees from 2 different grass patches. Those are the only 2 grass patches that drop rupees. And so I got 27, so that's actually a pretty decent number. That's good RNG. You can really get... 27 is kind of like towards the upper limit of rupees I've gotten before. I think I've gotten like 29 at one point, so 27 is pretty decent. So if we do everything right, we can skip a pot on Windfall coming up later. It saves about a second. Also, Errol! No!
No.
Have to see our sister get kidnapped by the bird. I guess we're gonna have to go save her, won't we?
I guess so.
I guess so.
Do we have to?
I guess.
She just keeps getting kidnapped every single time I do a run. She always gets kidnapped. You'd think she'd learn by now.
Oh, wait, I have an idea on how you can prevent her from being kidnapped. I have an idea. Ready?
Okay, what is it?
You should do a manual super swim.
Oh my goodness. Good idea.
Whoa. Genius.
Mr. Alberto, can I ask, what got you into running this game?
Watching other runners really got me into it. I used to be a big active part of chatters for this game back in 2018. And funny enough, I really have to give it to Leanne, because Leanne was the person that was like, hey, you should stream. And I was like, no, I don't have time. She was like, big time. And I was like, okay. Yeah, I was really reluctant to start streaming this game. I was really busy with school and everything, so trying to find time for this in addition to school was quite a task for me. But I was so wanting to play this game like for a really long time. I just felt like I was too much of a backseater, honestly, at that point. Because I often like would know more about the game than the people actually me watching play them. I'd never touched the controller before. I was like, oh, you just do this. This is how you do this trick. Like, how do you know this? Have you played this? I'm like, no, I've just seen a bunch of people play it.
And that was the time when it was like, right, it's time.
It's time to stop backseating and actually play the game. Yeah, it's like I already had the route memorized before I even started playing the game. So it's how much I'd watch.
That's awesome. And shout out to our previous runner, Leanne, for giving you the oomph to do it as well.
Yeah. Don't let it go to her head though. Because it will go to her head. She tries to take all of the pride in my accomplishment, all the credit.
Yeah, don't big her up too much. Alright, so the pause storage trick that I mentioned earlier, this is the trick. So, like I said, he's in Pro Controller mode right now, and that's going to allow him to open up the options menu as he goes to the loading zone. And you'll see that we're actually currently blind right now. But the options menu is open in the background. He can control things in the options menu and also move around. So he's going to do a blind setup here to get to Tetra and start that cutscene. And he's going to swap to gamepad mode and save the game. And that skips the cutscene of leaving outset. And so some things we do for blind movement is we do side hops and rolls to get fixed distances so that we can know exactly where we are at any given point. So stuff like that allows us to do blind movement so that we can do it consistently without being able to see. And also a couple of things to note about being on gamepad versus Pro Controller. Gamepad, more often than not, has a lot more advantages over Pro Controller. One thing mainly being that gamepad has gyro aiming, and Pro Controller does not. And also, gamepad has a very unique... Gamepad versus Pro Controller has a very unique quirk when it comes to the home button. So when you press the home button, you can open up the home menu, and we actually use that to buffer in inputs. So whenever you so if you're on gamepad and you unpause the home menu, and whatever buttons you're holding down, those buttons will get inputted as soon as the home menu unpauses. However, on Pro Controller, that is not the case, and when you unpause the home screen on Pro Controller, then all of your inputs will not be read for a full second. So gamepad has some advantages, and Pro Controller has its own little unique quirks. So that's why Alberto's going to be playing on gamepad for some of the run, and then for the times when he needs to do pause storage, then he's going to swap to Pro Controller.
Getting the spoils back here from the pirates, and I'm going to save and quit. This is faster than backtracking to go out of the pirate ship. The spoils bag is unfortunately not useful for anything in the entire run. We just need to get it to go to the next part. Because this cutscene won't start playing until... Well, now we've arrived at the Forsaken Fortress. We won't actually be here until we've beaten the rope game. Which is funny because it's... No matter how long it takes for the rope game to be done, you'll still arrive to Forsaken Fortress when you're done with spoils bag. Kind of doesn't make sense if you think about it. Like, I could take 2 hours to do this, or I could take 1 minute and we still arrive at the same time. It's like, wow, pirate ships just like all of a sudden warped to Forsaken Fortress when we did this in like 2 minutes. Like,
Is this a good opportunity to jump in?
yes.
Lovely. We have got a couple of lovely donations. One from Leanne herself. A $2 donation from Leanne that says, "It went to my head. Great run so far, Al. Average commentary, Jonah." And she put her money towards the Minish Cap tunic colour of red, so there is still that going on at the moment. You get to choose what colour tunic Nimbus's link is going to have in the Minish Cap. We have one quick more donation from Garlic Bread, donating $5 to say, "Surely you will get the 105." And on that note, I believe, Mr. Alberto, you nearly got the world record, updated the world record for this actually in a stream recently.
Yeah, so... everybody, learn from my mistake. Don't think, oh, I can just not local record and help my PC resources while streaming. Please local record if you have the option, because
Yes.
you never know if your stream's gonna cut out on an obscenely good run. And I had that happen the other day, and it was the one run that was amazing that my stream cut out during. Somebody nuked my internet somehow, and I would have gotten a record by 1 minute. But the record still stands at 106.10. I would have gotten, what, a 105.04 or something? And, but it doesn't count because I wasn't local recording, so.
Oh, fingers crossed, maybe we can have a RAF PB, a new
Good.
world record.
Good?
Maybe. Oh, so normally if you go up the stairs, you watch a cutscene with the where you get the gossip stone, and Tetra's talking to you through that little communication stone. However, we don't really need to watch that cutscene. Oh no. But we don't need to watch that cutscene, so we can actually do a little trick there to go around it. The only time we would want to watch that cutscene is if we were getting bombs out of the pirate ship, because that particular cutscene with the Gossip Stone changes the minigame on the pirate ship to go from the spoils bag to the bombs cutscene. Also, fortunately, even though he got caught, he can just go right back out here and be right back on track.
I do have to go back and get the rupee, though.
Yeah. Yeah, the rupee's really important.
Probably shouldn't have gone that way.
Yeah, so this is that cutscene I was referring to earlier.
I'm intensely reading all the Spanish subtitles as if I understand them, but I'm trying. I'm trying my best here. While I'm here, can I just do a quick announcement, if that's okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, lovely. So I just wanted to remind everybody that this is Rejects and Friends Sub-Zero. Welcome to anybody who's joined us during this run. So this is a 2-day speedrunning marathon benefiting Planned Parenthood Federation of America. So they provide they provide a lot of things, from safe abortions to birth control, sexual health. Planned Parenthood believes that your health is their highest priority and that your body is your own. So if you want to help donate to that cause, you can put !donate in chat. Thank you very much.
Alright, so I have to take out this bokoblin before going to the top, because this is the only searchlight that I cannot get past. So this searchlight would... Normally it shines on the very last sidle, and so you have to get past... You have to take out the searchlight. All the others, you do not. You can just kind of go around them. Because the others shine on the bottom. This is the only one that shines on the top. Kind of do that sidling. We could reach the loading zone, and I believe it saves like 3 frames or something over opening the door normally. It just kind of looks cool, so decided to do
it's
it.
something very small, but it's very neat. Just don't do it in your glitchless run.
Something interesting about moblins in this game is that you can kind of just run past them. In the GameCube version, they spot you basically immediately, but in this game, they're kind of pushovers. They nerf them heavily, so you can just run past all of them in this game. Don't have to use the barrel at all.
Yeah, they lost their eyesight in HD. You need to go get them checked. So sometimes this moblin can catch you like that and start tracking you. Other times he just doesn't even notice you whatsoever, and the camera doesn't move. But either way, you can still get away from him pretty easily. Also, if you tap the control stick instead of just holding it, like Alberto is doing here, it makes the sidling go by a little bit faster.
It's very hard to do this optimally. Because you have to time every single one of your stick presses, and that's why a lot of people just mash for that.
So if you pick up items while in the air, it skips the animation of Link holding up the item, which saves a little bit of time as well.
Did a frame perfect backflip there to get closer to this door. So during that camera pan, there's a 1-frame window where you have control of Link, and so I used that 1-frame window. I was just mashing backflip and actually got it. I was able to get a little closer to the door during that. So yeah, beat the Forsaken Fortress. Unfortunately, there was some mistakes there, so I don't know. World record is still on the table, but I don't know.
Not sure I'd have noticed the mistakes, Mr. Alberto, because this is so smooth. It's beautifully done. It's so fascinating to watch as well.
Yeah, it's really difficult to do some things in the early game optimally. It's kind of funny because we kind of look like to be like, oh, this is too easy. Like we shouldn't make any mistakes, but It's actually really turns out some of the stuff is actually kind of difficult to optimally, especially in the Forsaken Fortress. The optimal route requires you to have some really, really good movement at the very, very start. And so one bonk cost me 15 seconds, just bam, because there's a light cycle I was trying to make that I wasn't able to make. So, yeah. So it adds up pretty quickly, but we still have a lot of gameplay left. And so, it's kind of interesting because this ends up being really movement heavy, like throughout the run, even though it's a Zelda. And so usually Zelda games, you really think of the glitches, right? You really think of, oh, this really cool glitch where you do this very complicated setup and clip past this enemy or something. But in this game, I think it's more noteworthy because of the movement. You see Link pull off a lot of really cool ways to get around. So I think in this game, I think you're really heavily rewarded for really learning those movement optimizations. So that's kind of why I really like this game, because I think it really shows off the movement in the game, especially when we get grapple, which we haven't even gotten grapple yet. So all the stuff that I'm doing, rolling and getting around and side hopping, all this stuff, that is basically going to get really complicated once we get the grapple, because then we'll have another way to get around way, 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 way faster. So we'll get there.
If you've never seen a Wind Waker HD run, when we get grapple, just buckle up because it's gonna get wild.
Put on your seatbelts, folks. Run for a ride.
Quite literally.
Is this a good opportunity to jump in?
Yes.
Awesome. I just wanted to very quickly discuss this event and our new channel. I nearly said secret new channel. It's not secret anymore. So, looking towards the future, Rejects and Friends is going to have all future events over at twitch.tv/Rejects and Friends, which you can find by typing ! new channel in the chat. Please go follow that so we can make it a great hub for our communities. And RAF in general was created as sort of like an event where if anybody's been rejected from streaming events, they could come here and also be part of our community. It was a way to feature members of the community who were perhaps declined. It's blossomed way more than that, and we hope we can keep it going. So ! schedule in chat to see what else is up for today. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. 4 rupees, please. That'll work. Nice.
At least those flowers can be very, very rich sometimes.
Did not mean to talk to him. Was trying to roll. Unfortunately, the button for rolling is the same as talking to characters. So you gotta be careful when you roll. When you don't.
Yay.
Yeah, here we have to free Tingle before buying the sale. This is a change made in HD because they wanted you to not forget about Tingle, because I think a lot of people just didn't go in this room. And so if you try to buy the sale, Janari will tell you, oh, I really miss my friend. He's in jail. Can you go save him? So you cannot buy the sale unless you have freed Tingle. And once again, Tingle giving us all these useless items. So we're just collecting item after item that we just never use.
Yeah, they probably wanted to also promote their Miiverse feature, which, ironically enough, is unable to be used anymore. So, yay.
Maybe the key to more glitches is the Tingle bottle. The key to Ace is the Tingle bottle.
I can see it.
A good question from chat. What did Tingle do to get in prison?
Probably tax fraud.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Didn't claim tax on his map selling. Tut tut tut.
Yep. That'll do him. If you're not willing to do the time, don't do the crime.
Ho ho ho.
Alright, so we bought the sale, and now it's time to play our favorite Come Sail Away song. But because of DMCA, we're not going to play it. Just imagine him playing it. And yeah, so only sailing section of the entire run, by the way. But basically, we have to get to Dragonroost because we want to go. Well, I mean, you have to go here anyway. We can't sequence break at all without the manual super swim. So we would have normally, we would have normally gone to Dragonroost at the very, very beginning of the run if we did the manual swim. But now we are finally heading over. What, like 30 minutes into the run? So
Yeah, 30 minutes in, we're finally heading over there.
it really shows you how much time manual swim saves.
It makes such a huge difference.
Now, we did need to beat Forsaken Fortress 1 anyway. You want to explain that, why we have to do that, Joash?
Yeah, so Forsaken Fortress is actually incredibly important for progression in general. So there's two different versions of Forsaken Fortress. There's Forsaken Fortress 1, which is on a map of its own, like it's not on the main map, and that's the one that we just finished. That's the one where you have to sneak by the spotlights and you can't get caught by the guards and all that. That's Forsaken Fortress 1. Forsaken Fortress 2 is on the regular like C chart map, and that's the one that you do normally in the middle of the game, like at the midpoint, where you fight Phantom Ganon, get the hammer, and you fight the Hellmark King. And both of those are actually very important to beat, because beating Forsaken Fortress 1 spawns the boat into the world, and that's important for later because there's a cutscene where we're in the boat, and if we don't have the boat spawned into the game, then that cutscene actually crashes. So we can't actually just go beat Forsaken Fortress 2 and skip Forsaken Fortress 1, mainly because of that reason. And beating Forsaken Fortress 2 is also very important, because not only does that bring us down to the area where the final level is, but that also allows us to watch cutscenes in the second half of the game. So the way this game works with cutscenes is that they're in two different animation sets. So there's animation set 1 and 2, and all the cutscenes are on one like, I guess, graph. So at the start of the game, you're on animation set 1, and all the cutscenes for the first half of the game are played on animation set 1. If you try to play a cutscene in the second half of the game while you're in animation set 1, then the cutscene will probably crash because it's trying to play a cutscene in animation set 1 when it's supposed to be in 2. But when you beat Forsaken Fortress 2, it swaps the game over to animation set 2. So then, from that point, we can watch cutscenes in the second half of the game. However, we wouldn't be able to watch cutscenes in the first half of the game anymore. So, interesting little restriction there that we have to keep in mind. So, basically, long story short, we have to beat Forsaken Fortress 1 to get the boat, and then we have to beat Forsaken Fortress 2 to get to the end of the game.
Alright, so we are finally at Dragonroost. I just did a jump to skip bombing all the rocks on Dragonroost. Basically, that very first rock that I jumped on, I think Nintendo just didn't realize you could side up onto it. Like, they didn't quite realize you can side up on top of rocks, and then you have enough height if you jump off of it to reach the ledge and grab it. And then I effectively skipped bombing every single one of the boulders. You're supposed to do this really, really complicated route where you'd go left instead, and then you go all the way up top by sidling and then drop down. But instead we can just do that really simple jump to skip that entire sequence. And that saves about 30 or so seconds, so... And it's pretty easy. So, the hardest part is actually the second part, which only saves a little bit of time, where I jump past that second rock. But you can skip that by just bombing the rock. But it's slightly faster to not use the bomb by a few seconds. So... Really a very simple oversight, I think. Though, I think it's kind of interesting that rolling in this game is different than the GameCube version, so I think this is probably why it was kind of, like, overlooked. Because on the GameCube version, if you don't have full speed before you start a roll, you'll kind of do this really, really cute little 5-speed roll that just doesn't move anywhere, and it's just not useful. It just is just annoying. But they removed that in this game and made it so that the low speed rolls are 20 speed versus the high speed, which is 26. So you can always get a jump off of that rock no matter what you do, which makes it way easier in this game than in the GameCube version to do that trick. So it's just like a really nice change to HD to make the rolls better, because nobody likes rolling in place because you didn't get high speed for your roll.
this a good opportunity to mention something really quickly?
Yeah.
Yep, awesome. So I just wanted to mention the poll that we currently have running, which is for the Minish Cap and what colour tunic Link will be wearing, where you get to choose between red, blue, green, or purple. That will be closing when we reach Puppet Ganon in Alberto's run. So please make sure, if you would like to choose what colour tunic that Link is wearing in Minish Cap, and you have strong opinions, get those votes in pretty soon, because it won't be too long until we get there. So remember, when you're on Tiltify and you donate, after you filled out your details, you get to select a poll, and that is where you will find your choice. Currently winning is green with $623. I personally want to see a purple Link. Thank you very much, folks.
Alright, so this entire quest is to get the bottle from Medley. Had to talk to a bunch of different people, but we have arrived to Medley. She wants us to throw it. She wants us to throw her on top of this ledge because I don't know. I guess she's not able to do it on her own. But honestly, I don't know if this is more her trying to get to know Link and go on a date with him or whatever. Because, like, you know, if I were a bird girl and I needed to get on top of this ledge, I would have just, I don't know, jumped. But I guess she needs Link to throw her. So in order for her to get up top, we have to do her a big favor, pick her up, and throw her. Don't you think she could have done this on her own? I don't know.
She could have definitely done this on her own.
She doesn't need Link.
She doesn't need no Link.
But for all of our troubles, she gives us the bottle. So I'm glad that she didn't just do it on her own, because or else we couldn't have gone to the Dragon Roost Cavern, because we needed this item to enter the dungeon. The reason is that we needed to bond to. There's in order to raise the spring, we need the bomb flower to not be withered. So we have to use the water in our bottle to water the flower, and then it's now a regular bomb. And we can throw it at the boulder. What's interesting is that regular bombs don't work on this boulder. It's only a bomb flower. Somehow Nintendo was able to program this one boulder, which is the only boulder in the entire game that is programmed this way, to not be breakable with regular bombs. It's very interesting. Alright, gonna be doing a pretty risky trick here to save about 2 seconds. Basically, you're supposed to throw the bomb in both of these statues. I'm only gonna throw it in one. Well, just one. My LeBron skills are not very good right now. Alright, and then we're going to jump across here. And bam, I just skipped bombing a statue. So that jump slash, you can just barely make it if you aim for the quarter. You have just enough distance to jump slash to gain a little bit extra distance, and that saves about 2 seconds. So
That was awesome. I love little tricks like that.
yeah, it's very risky though, because if you miss it, you fall in the lava, and then you have to go all the way back. So
ooh, yeah, you don't want to miss that one.
Yeah, so using the pot there is normally it's mostly used in MSS runs since you don't have a sword in Dragon Roost Cavern. But it's also used there because it's about the same speed as using sword, but using the pot also makes the stick go in a more consistent direction than it would with sword.
You're gonna see a lot of small movement optimizations throughout this cavern, and they all add up to a lot. All of them combined, but it's hard to do it. It's really hard to do this dungeon optimally because of how many small movement optimizations there are.
Yeah, there's a lot in Dragon Roost Cavern. A lot you may not notice even initially at first. A lot of little small things that really make a huge difference.
Yep, so there I rolled as the bomb was exploding. To get to the door, you can roll as the boulder's exploding. It looks weird because it looks like Link should get blown up into oblivion, but somehow he's able to avoid taking damage, so... Because the rock doesn't deal damage, it's only the regular bomb explosion, so you have to go around that.
bottom of chat are currently enjoying singing All the Small Things. They all count.
They do. And here you're supposed to spin attack this bomb, but it's actually way easier to throw that pot at it. That's another trick that you'll see in the manual swim category, though it is slightly faster to spin attack that bomb, but it's harder by a lot, because if you're slightly off, it won't work. So it's actually easier to do swordless strats there.
Yeah. Also, for this lava spout thing coming up here, this thing is on a cycle. So if you're fast enough, you can actually beat this cycle before it has a chance to spew. And I believe Alberto did make the cycle, which is definitely a lot easier to make when you have a sword. In MSS runs, when you don't have a sword, it's a little bit harder to make. But yeah, that thing is on one constant cycle.
These two gaps that I just simply jumped across, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to hang on the ledge and then slowly move across. That second one, that first one, you're supposed to cycle across. But by doing a jump, you can make it past both of them. And actually, the second one, I had to jump slash at the end to get just a little bit more distance to make it across the gap. Is it kind of funny that Nintendo didn't quite realize you can just simply jump across instead of taking the scenic route?
Why wouldn't we want to take the scenic route, though? We get to see all the different things.
Yeah, scenic is boring. Want some action.
We don't want scenic on a speed run.
Also, the funny thing about these rats is that when you're really low on rupees, sometimes they can hit you. And okay, so when the rats hit you, they make you drop money. But sometimes if you're really low on rupees, and they hit you, sometimes you drop more rupees than you actually own. So in a way, they actually can give you rupees, in some cases, which is really nice in some categories where you need to still grind up money for in DRC. In this case, we don't need money anymore, but in other categories, it's always nice to see more money fall from Link than what we actually have.
Alright. See if this room goes well. This room has been giving me a lot of trouble lately. I have to defeat all these bokoblins to get to the next area. Okay, well... Bad RNG, it's okay. Yeah, doing that fight optimally is actually pretty difficult, because those bokoblins do not like to behave. Actually, there it would have been good, but the second bokoblin jumped back. But basically, the fastest strat is for the first guy, what I did was I grounded jump slash quick spin. And so that's interesting because when you do a jump slash, if you spin the stick at the end, there's this mechanic where Link will, when he lands, automatically do a spin attack. You don't have to press B for it, he just automatically does it if you spin the stick while midair. And that is very, very useful in this game, because that spin does 4 damage, while a regular spin deals 2 damage, and a regular attack deals 1. And a jump attack deals 2 damage. If you've taken notes, you've realized that if you hit with a jump attack and a spin, that's 6 damage. And these bokoblins have 5 health, so if you land both, they instantly die. The blue ones have 5 health. These are green ones, they have 7 health. So I'm gonna have to hit them 3 times and then do a jump spin and have the spin hit them. And hopefully it goes well. Okay, there we go. So as you saw, I try to land 3 hits and then a side hop jump slash quick spin. That makes the spin come out faster because the jump slash is not as big if you do it out of a side hop. And that kills them very fast. And then for this guy, that moblin has 10 health. So I do 2 double hits, and then a jump spin to deal 6. And he just dies really quickly. So that actually was a really good fight, so... Really hard to do optimally all the fights, though. Especially the bokoblins, because they're really RNG dependent. So, unfortunately, like, if they dodge your attack, there's really not anything you can do. And they can also hit you midair. And if they hit you midair, they cancel your attack. So... they often don't really behave, but they behaved pretty well in this run, I would say. They were really nice to me, thankfully.
By the way, we just got grapple. So get ready. So,
Oh.
you want me to explain item sliding?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, so item sliding. When you have a first-person item in the HD remake, they changed. They added a feature in the HD version where if you have a first-person item, you can actually move around while holding it. However, they had a certain line of code in that feature that allows us to do something very special. So if Alberto holds forward or holds in any direction, pauses, and then holds very slightly in the opposite direction, then, well, you can gain infinite speed. So as you can see, we've already left Dragon Roost and are already on a completely different island. No sailing necessary anymore. So he's going to go ahead and immediately use this technique to item slide against this tree. And what that's going to do is when he gets a certain amount of speed, he's going to clip through the tree, and it's also going to clip him inside the fairy fountain. And going inside this fairy fountain is very important because we need an upgrade both from this one and from a different one. Because he needs both a quiver upgrade and a bomb upgrade. And that's going to allow him to use a bow and bombs later on in the run. He can't use them now, but he'll be able to use them later when he gets a bow and picks up a bomb drop later, which we'll explain when we get there. Yeah, item sliding is a very simple technique, but it also has a lot of complicated mechanics to it. So just by watching it in general, you can see just how fast you can move in just a short period of time. And this is what breaks the entire game wide open.
I'm gonna safety save here because if I fail with him, it's very bad. So we're gonna safety save. Looks good.
Nice.
Very nice. That is one of the hardest swims in the run, hands down.
Yeah. So Alberto, one little quirk about item sliding is that if you try to item slide down a hill or like down a slope, and like falls essentially, anytime you go down a slope or fall, you will lose all of your speed that you built up. So, and that's important to know when you go to do a super swim. Because you need to be able to ease yourself into the water slowly, and not have Link lose too much height, lose all your speed. So that's why both there and at Dragon Roost, he was able to ease himself into the water to still maintain his speed and to keep it inside the water.
Alright. This fountain, so I clipped in. I cannot clip out like the other one. The other one was interesting that because the thorns didn't have real collision, so I could actually escape by just item sliding past them. But this one I have to save and quit because that boulder I cannot get past. That's the only way to get out. And now we're going to be doing a very interesting trick to get off this island. If you want to explain it to us.
Yeah. So one neat thing about item sliding that we can do in this case on this island we cannot ease ourselves into the water. However, what Al's going to do is he's going to item slide against this tree at a very specific angle, and with the right angle and the right amount of speed, Alberto will be able to clip through the tree. But what it will do is it'll actually clip him at a consistent distance. So pretty recently, actually, we've been coming up with a lot of setups on different islands to have a fixed angle, or like fixed facing direction, and what that'll do is when we have that and item slide on certain places, then we can clip at very consistent distances, and that allows us to get to certain islands pretty easily. And that's what Alberto did there to get just to where we need next. And here we're going to see another pause storage from what we saw earlier in the run. So this is going to be used to skip the Deku Tree cutscene where the Deku Tree talks to us. So what Al's going to do here is he's going to do some movement setups that we can't really see here, but he's going to do some movement setups to go up the two waterfalls, and then to where the Chew fight is, and then he's going to do some setups to be able to spin attack all the Chews and defeat all of them in order to get to the cutscene. And then once he activates a cutscene, which will know when he has defeated all the Chews by when the screen fades. Then he'll be able to swap to gamepad mode again, and then save and quit the game, and that'll take us out of the cutscene, and the game will act as if we've watched the entire cutscene.
There we go.
There we go.
Yep, I could see what you see. I cannot see anything. What you saw on the screen is what I could see, which is literally nothing. So I do rely on audio cues only to navigate all that. So pretty hard to do, pretty hard to learn. But it's faster than watching the cutscene. Even though we spawn at the start, the cutscene is about 2 minutes long. So even though we have to go all the way back, it still ends up saving a good, decent, about 50 seconds or so.
Yeah, with a lot of cutscene skips, the thing you have to keep in mind is that you won't be necessarily skipping. You won't be necessarily saving the exact amount of time of the length of the cutscene, because you have to do a setup to be able to skip the cutscene. So the setup it takes to skip the cutscene alongside the length of the cutscene is always something to keep in mind on whether or not it'll be good to skip the cutscene. And in this case, it's definitely worth it. There are some cases where we can't save warp at the very beginning of a cutscene, because of requirements we need or near the end of the cutscene. And there's gonna be one after Forsaken Fortress 2 that we can't skip because the requirements for that cutscene are at the very end. So it basically wouldn't be worth it at all to skip it.
Alright, so we have to climb to get the leaf. This is the last item we need before we can go beat the game, because it's very important. The main thing about leaf that's really important is that it gives us a magic meter, so that we can use elemental arrows later, or else we just can't use them. We'd only be able to use regular arrows. This last bulb we can skip by doing this really precise jump. Okay, it looks really freaky. It looked like Link just landed on just mid-air, but that part of the leaf, there's part of the collision that you can't see. So we did land on the leaf. The platform is a square shape, but the texture is a circle. So the corners, you can't see them. So I just landed on the very, very, very corner of that platform. And so that allows me to skip using one of the last bulbs, and it saves about 4 seconds. But it is pretty risky, because if you miss, you fall all the way down and lose about 40 seconds. So good thing I didn't fail.
You're getting a lot of compliments in chat saying about how speedy you are, Mr. Alberto.
Thank you.
Going fast.
Gotta go fast.
Is there time for a quick donation here?
Let's
okay if not.
Let's wait about 2 minutes.
Of course, no problem.
And there will be a really long cutscene. You can do donations during.
Yeah, you don't want to miss what's coming up here. This is Forsaken Fortress is basically the item sliding playground, and you can definitely tell just by this movement here. Just in comparison to Forsaken Fortress 1, where we were doing a bunch of rolls and whatnot. Now we can just zoom through the entire thing and make our way all the way up to Forsaken Fortress.
Did I not trigger? Oh, I did trigger the mini ones. I have to go inside.
Yeah, so Alberto does not want the mini ones to spawn. If you go too far down that stairwell, then unfortunately they spawn. But that's okay, because he can go inside and then come back outside, and they'll despawn. Alberto's doing very specific movement through Forsaken Fortress also, because he's wanting to skip hitting the Phantom Ganon trigger for starting the fight. And that trigger is actually pretty big. So Alberto does fairly specific movement here and there to avoid that trigger, because that would make the next trick we're about to do much more difficult. Alongside with skipping, spawning the little mini ones there. So going around that avoids starting the Phantom Ganon fight. And so here Al's going to do a trick called Door Clip, and
That was so fast.
oh my gosh. That was a really good door clip. And once he's clipped into the door, then he can be able to get to the loading zone to do pause storage and skip this cutscene with rescuing Ariel. Which, yes, we rescued Ariel. You just didn't see it.
Yep, she's rescued. Nice, thanks.
Yeah, that was a crazy door clip, actually.
Yeah. So we're gonna skip
And-
this fight. Also, we're supposed to roll up these stairs. I think it's so funny how item sliding makes that so much faster.
Completely trivializes that. And then also we can clip through the floor here, and then just go around the outside of this fight and just completely skip this fight. Fun fact about this fight, and Helmrock skip in general, is there are so many ways to skip this fight. So much so that we even skip it in glitchless. with
Yeah.
with a very different method, mind you, but still.
There was just a glitchless race yesterday, so. Alright, so Link has now changed his clothes. So nice wardrobe change, very quick. Link needed he's like, hold on a second again, and let me change my clothes. Oh wait, that's the wrong. Wait. I have the wrong speedrun. Oops, my bad. He already had the
Oh,
green
no.
tunic on. I already
Oh,
forgot. But
no.
there is a change. There is a change. So the reason I said that, I guess that was habit. From the manual sim categories, if you have not gotten the green tunic yet, the game just gives you the green tunic. So forget about that. But do notice that Link is holding a different sword in his hand now. I guess that's the only thing that's changed. Link will give you all these items if you don't have them already. Like you'll get them for the cutscene. So if you haven't had the shield, the game will just give you the shield. I guess we already had it, but the sword we didn't. So this gives us the Master Sword. That's why this cutscene is called the early Master Sword cutscene in this game. So we just got the early Master Sword. And
Yeah, also
yeah, if you'd like to read those donations, or Josh, if you want to go.
I was just gonna say, also, if it makes you feel better, I completely forgot we weren't even wearing pajamas in the first place.
Yes. We have a donation. ADN donated $20 to say Purple Team rules. And that's for the Minish Cap tunic colour of purple. But even with that update, we still have green winning with $623. And this is shutting down when we hit Puppet Ganon, which I believe is very, very soon.
Yes. The end of this
so
run,
if you
we'll
want
have
to get it
quick.
in, awesome, thank you. So if you want to get it in, quick, so you can get in this colour your choice of that you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is the last cutscene of the run, so until the credits. So we skip all the rest of them.
Yeah, this is your one last little mental break before the end.
Yeah, so enjoy the movie.
Pop the popcorn.
It does genuinely feel like a bit like a movie, doesn't it? We've got dragons, birds, fire.
Oh my goodness, fire! Gen's dead, right? Like his whole face is got torched. Like runs over.
Oh yeah.
What are we
sub
at?
one.
50
Yo,
minutes?
let's go.
GG! New world record!
Wow, let's go.
Oh, if only I wish.
2 credits. Now the vote's telling us that Ganon's not dead. What do you mean?
Hey man, why hasn't my timer stopped?
All you did was piss him off. Why did you torch his place?
No.
You didn't realize he's fire resistant. No!
Oh gosh.
I do wish we could like replay that cutscene and see what it looks like from Ganon's POV. Like the whole anime style, like he's just speaking in Japanese and be like, "What have I done to reach this point in my life? The world around me is in flames. Time to go back to the bottom of the ocean."
Chat are discussing what type, as in Pokemon type, Ganon is right now.
Oh,
We've
he's
got
definitely
his
a water
water
type.
type or water rock type.
Oh yeah, water rock type. I mean he is a Giga Ganon, so probably rock type as well. Ganon would not Ganon. Would you like to explain this next trick?
Yeah, I can explain it. So barrier skip, which is one of the most iconic skips in all of Zelda, really, because this trick wasn't found for so long, and now both games have it in very different ways. But for this trick, we want to get a very, very specific angle, and very recently we found a brand new setup for getting that specific angle, because originally we had to look into first person and find our angle with a visual cue, but now we can turn our shield for 1 frame and immediately just have the angle. So the way that works is that the barrier is actually one big cylinder, and that cylinder has like little tiny corners around it to kind of give it the visual impression of a cylinder. But conveniently, one of those little corners is actually on the bridge where we walk. So we actually clip through that tiny little corner and skip the barrier. And skipping this barrier saves two hours in the speedrun, because it allows us to skip beating every single dungeon, and it allows us to skip beating the entire Triforce quest, which takes up a lot of time. In comparison, the no barrier skip speedrun is just shy under 3 hours. I think the world record's like 2 hours and 52 minutes, and then the no MSS no barrier skip, I believe, is like 3 hours and 10 minutes or something like that. So yeah, barrier skip is a huge part of the run, and as you can see, we're already at the very end of the game.
Yep. I also skipped beating the trials. So what I first did was I went to the Earth Temple trial and made a quick detail to pick up the bomb drop. And as you may notice, that actually gave me the bomb island. I didn't have the bomb item. I didn't have the bomb until I picked it up from that one coffin. It's very interesting. That is the only place in the game where that works. Where basically normally bomb drops turn to rupees if you don't have the bomb item yet. And now we know why, because it gives you bombs. If you every time you get a bomb drop to change your bomb count, it just sets bombs in your inventory. So that's why they made it so that all the other times you just they turn into rupees. But they forgot to change 2 bomb drops in the entire game into rupees, and they both exist in that same trial. So that's why we got the bomb bag earlier, so that we could carry bombs, or else we wouldn't be able to use any at this point.
Yeah, and very, very conveniently, it's right where we need it to be too. Oh, and that's all. And I don't know if you mentioned this, but that's why we also got the bomb bag, because normally, if he had just picked up the bombs without the bomb bag, he would have 0 bombs. So that's why we got the bomb bag. And incidentally enough, that's also why we got the quiver, because we're going to get the light arrows here as well. And the thing about the bow in Wind Waker is that the bow is actually just 3 different items. There's the bow, there's the fire and ice arrows, and then the light arrows. And if we just get the light arrows, that actually not only gives us the bow and the light arrows, but it also gives us the fire and ice arrows. Because in this game it doesn't count the fire, ice, and light arrows as 3 different items like it does in other games, but it counts it as like tiered items with like stacked abilities essentially. So we get the fire and ice arrows as well as the light arrows, which is actually really nice, because we can actually use the fire arrows to our advantage later here in the run.
Yeah, this is happening all very quickly. It's very hard to explain it fast enough because of how fast everything's happening right now. So now we're going up Grand Staircase. We're gonna beat all these enemies. That opens the door. It's actually only faster because we're gonna come back a second time. The first time we're not even gonna open the door. We're just gonna clip out of bounds. So I'm going to clip out of bounds and set up pause storage on this loading zone to skip the pup again in cutscene. Because you have to be out of bounds for it to work. You can't do it on opening doors. And this is frame perfect, so let's see if I can get it.
Yeah, side hop is tricky to do.
There we go! There we go!
Nice.
So, nice. First
Very
try.
nice. Yeah, to give you an idea of what you have to do to press those kind of inputs, you kind of have to claw grip your controller in a very very interesting way. So like for me, for example, so you're having to hold like ZL and then hold left, and then you're also having to press the home button and the A button at the same time as well, and it's just you're having to press a lot of buttons all at once, and it can get very complicated, but Thanks for a very interesting execution of the trick.
Thank you. Now I have to fight Pup again, and I guess I'll go safe on this last shot. There are some prediction shots you can do. I hit one of them. So the very first shot was actually consistent. There are consistent shots and there are prediction shots. So you're normally supposed to have the boomerang and cut down all the strings. But if you know where to shoot, you can just shoot it with the lighter because the hitbox is always active. So there's a much harder way to do it, but way faster. Also, I don't have boomerang. So the very first shot is consistent, and then whenever he kind of goes for a punch, there's also a consistent shot. So I did do that for one of them, but the rest you have to predict where he's going to go. It becomes really difficult. So this phase is the spider phase. Every time it falls, I can hit it. Though, it's supposed to go up in the room and spin each time. If we double hit it, we'll have one less cycle. And that is called the crypt shot. Or crypt shot, named after Cryptech, who found it. Oh, no magic. Boo.
Oh. Yeah, magic is RNG here, unfortunately. And we can't get the pot refills because we don't have the hook shot. Oh, also keep in mind, we don't have hook shot, which is going to be important here in a bit.
So we would have skipped this fight. And the any percent category skips this fight. But the skip for is banned. Going to have to try again on this.
That's alright.
Alright, so third phase. So third phase is a snake. There is another cool trick shot I'm going to go for here called the Trog shot, found by Trog, who's a big tasker of this game. Well, of the GameCube version. There are no task tools in this game. I can hit him as he's going up in the air to skip having to wait for him to fall all the way back down and hit him again. Hey!
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So whenever Pupigan, and if you go behind him, his pattern is consistent. His tail will kind of just flick up in the air and kind of stay there for a little bit. So that's where what I was aiming, was at the very, very top. So that when he goes kind of vertical, I just aim at the very, very top. Because there is a point in his animation where he's basically like directly vertical. His tail's at the top and his head's at the bottom. So that's when I was waiting to shoot the very, very top, where his tail is. So this run is actually going to be over pretty quickly. There is this is probably the hardest part of the run because I have to skip the final platform not just once but twice. I have to get there without hookshot, and now it's going to require zombie hovering.
Yeah. So remember when I said we don't have hookshot? Well, there is one particular part here where we need hookshot. But we don't have it, so we kind of have to. We're gonna have to do something else in order to get up on this platform that we would normally need the hookshot for. So, well, first things first, as we're climbing up this room, Alberto can do a few tricks here to get up to the top of the room a lot faster, and skip using the grapple in a couple of cases, like for that clip there, for example, on the chain. And what I was going to do here is he's going to open the warp pot because he's actually going to use it later. So the trick we're about to do here, so Alberto's going to damage down all the way to a quarter heart. And he's going to stab one of these morths, and as he stabs the morth is going to latch onto him, so it's actually going to prevent the morth from dying. However, what this actually does, it actually does something really special. So normally when you kill a morth with your sword at low health, it will always drop a heart. If you shoot it with the bow or whatever, it's going to drop nothing. But if you do this trick where you stab it and then keep it alive by attaching it to you, then what it's going to do is when you shoot it with the bow, it will instead have these swords drop set, so that it will drop the heart instead of nothing. And so I was going to do a zombie hover here. You can get out a jump attack as you're dead, like right before the game considers you fully dead. And you can actually just continually mash V to keep doing jump attacks, and the jump attack keeps canceling out because the game realizes Link's dead. So if you just keep jump attacking like that, then you can hover up. So, and then Alberto does pause storage here to skip this cutscene, and we're going to do the trick again.
So,
yeah, so the trick is 4.5 minutes, and then Morth Hover itself takes 2 minutes. So skipping this cutscene saves 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's that cutscene's just so long. Doing all this all over again is faster than watching the cutscene by a really good bit.
Yeah, so if y'all remember, we were talking about how Puppet and Skip is banned in this category. Puppet and Skip essentially requires one of those hovers be done for more than a full minute, and then after that, doing a really hard setup to get healed by a keys, which is one of those bats. Get healed by a keys where they drop a heart on top of that platform, which therefore lets you skip the fight. And it's an insanely hard trick, which is why we have it banned in this particular category on any % restricted. For the mashing, the game runs at 30 frames per second, and we can only get 15 of these jump attacks in every second, because in order to get a jump attack out, the B button needs to be pressed for a frame, and then in order for the B button to be pressed again, it needs to be released for at least 1 or more frames. So essentially, if Alberto mashes too fast here, then the game actually reads your B press inputs as if you're holding down the button. So that's why mashing can be a little bit tricky in this game as well. As we can see, Alberto's storing the hover again. You're gonna see him land on the heart, because if he misses the heart, then he'll instantly die when he hits the ground. But fortunately, he hits the heart there. And now we're on to the Ganondorf fight, and the tricky thing about this fight in any % is he only has 1 heart, which means he is 1 hit from dying, so he has to do this fight without getting hit once. So he does the setup there to finish off this first part of the fight, and now he's on to the second phase of the fight, and he's going to do a trick here to maximize his damage on Ganondorf, and
Time's coming up.
Looks like he's getting it. Yes, and time's coming up here just very shortly. And
when the sword hits his head.
Yep, when the sword hits his head, we're going to call time.
Yeah. All right,
and here we come.
And time.
And time.
Oh, that was awesome!
Oh man!
Yay!
The end of that run is crazy. It's just crazy. It's just so fast.
It was so fast. I was just absolutely, honestly, I've had to like close my mouth because I've been sat here, gaping at the screen. It's so amazing. You've been going so fast.
Oh. The end of the run is really hard too. So doing that hover twice, a lot can go wrong, as you can probably guess. So very glad it went well. Doing that hover, it was hard enough doing it once, but doing it twice is just, yeah, it's scary.
But that's honestly absolutely amazing. Like, GG. And please don't forget to plug yourself, Mr. Alberto, and Jonah as well.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
Real quick, I wasn't watching. What was the final time?
It was
8:58.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For a marathon, I think that's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
for sure.
Cool. So anyway, guys, if you are interested in watching more Windmaker HD speedruns, definitely check out my stream, Mr. Alberto23. Let me go into the channel and plug it. Fun.
Come see chat. They've been cheering you on the whole time.
Okay, let me open it. I didn't have it open, so let me do that. So yes, give me a follow, and also my YouTube. Oh, I should plug my YouTube too. I post my runs to YouTube. So I've been in school. So guys, quick announcement. I was in nursing school for the last 1.5 years. So that's why I haven't been doing much Twitch stuff, because I decided to actually, get good at life, and I think it worked out. And so now I have graduated officially yesterday. I graduated.
Oh my gosh.
Yay!
Congratulations! Woo!
I have a master's
Oh my
in
gosh!
nursing.
That is amazing. Claps in chat for Mr. Alberto. Woo! That is amazing news. Congrats.
Thank you. So I finished up yesterday. I'm done. I can't really start working until a lot later, so I guess I just have time for Twitch, don't I? So I'll link my Twitch. So this is my Twitch channel if you would like to go follow. If you have not followed already, please follow me. Did I spell it wrong? Twitch.rv? No, Twitch.tv. There you go. RV. Are we gonna start living in RVs? Wow. There's like a movie on that, like it was called RV or something. I don't know. I saw a movie called RV
Right
one day.
there.
All right.
That right there is an RV.
Yes, guys, go live in an RV. Yes, go buy a bunch of RVs and write
I've
Mr.
pinned it.
Alberto23 on them. All right, and then
And
here's my YouTube.
yeah, I was gonna say, don't forget YouTube.
Yep. So watch my
Awesome.
YouTube is Mr. Alberto23. Though I think the username is still 14 Mr. Alberto. 14 Mr. Alberto is dead. Don't worry about him. I killed him, and now Mr. Alberto23. I'm more superior to the 14. So
Oh gosh. And Jonah, where can people find you?
You can find me also on twitch.tv/Josh, and I'm currently also doing when we're HD speedruns. I've been mainly doing all dungeons lately, and I'm hoping to get back to Sunshine again at some point soon. Let me get my YouTube as well. My YouTube, I also post some of my PBs here, but I've also been doing highlight videos lately on my YouTube, and I'm hoping to be uploading to YouTube a whole lot more here pretty soon. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. Well, thank you both for joining us. It's been fantastic.
yeah,
I know we're going to cut
so
to a little bit of a break in a second, and I've got a couple of announcements in that break, so I'll speak to you all very soon. Thanks again, both. Enjoy the rest of your days.
Thank you.
Thank you.